What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we'll be creating our own guessing game using Python. So what are the goals of our guessing game? Well, we want to have the computer have a random number, and we want the user to be able to guess that number. So this is good practice for using not only the random module, but using if statements, conditional statements, and control flow. So let's get right into it. So the first thing we want to do is we want to have the computer have a random number for the user to guess. So to do that, we're going to import the random module. So we talked about the random module in one of our videos. Hopefully you can see that here, I think. Uh, so we're going to be using rand int. So we want to have a random integer. I think a random float point number or a random decimal number would be way too hard. So let's just do import random. Uh, Actually, because we're only going to be using one method from the random module, we can do a little shortcut here. We can do from the random module, import random. Okay? So now we're just importing random. We're not importing the whole module, which is good practice. Next, we want to assign this random value that the computer holds to a variable. So let's just say computer comp underscore num equals rand int, and let's just do from 1 to 100. So the computer will have a number from 1 to 100, and that's the number that we're going to try to guess. So this is next thing we want to do is we want to prompt the user to enter a number. We want the user to guess this number. So we want to prompt the user to guess this number. So to pick a number. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a loop. So this is going to be like our game loop. This is to everything inside of our program is going to go inside this loop so that we can run this continuously. Okay? So while true, which is always true, while it's always true, until we break out of the loop. We want to prompt the user to enter something. So we can say user underscore num equals input, enter a number. Now, we don't want the user to input any old thing. We don't want the user to input John, for example. We want it to be an integer. So we're going to do int. We're going to make sure that the user has to input an integer, else the program will break. So user equals enter a number. So now we're going to get into conditional statements. So we want the user, we want to guide the user. So if the user guesses a number that's less than the computer number, we want the computer to say, oh, well, you guessed less, the number is higher. So let's just say if user underscore num is less than comp underscore num. So if the user, this input, whatever the user enters here, if this is less than the computer's number, which we generated here, we want to print you guessed lower than the computer's number. Try again. Okay? Now, we're going to use something called a continue statement. And this continue keyword, all it does is it returns to the top of the loop. So now we're back here. Okay? So if they don't guess the number right, we're going to go back to the top of this loop and have them enter a number again. So that's what continue does. Else if, so elif user underscore num is greater then the computer num comp underscore num. We want to just do the same thing, except we want to say that you guessed higher than the computer's number. Okay, so same idea. If the user number is greater than the computer's number, we want to say that you guessed too high. We want you to try again. So we put this continue statement to return to the top of the loop. And then lastly, if you guess the number, we want to print correct. You guessed the number. And we can just in our last video we talked about string formatting. So we can do correct, you guessed the number, and then we can actually input this number into the string. You guessed the number, the computer's number, comp num. Okay? So, and we also, because we want this loop to end eventually, we're going to use this break keyword, which says it literally just ends the loop. It ends the loop. So if you guess it right, we print that you guessed the number correctly. We print the number out, and we break from the while loop, and now the program is over. So let's run this. Let's see what this does after I save it. Okay, now let's run this. So it's asking us to enter a number. Let's enter 5. You guess a lower. 20. Let's go 50. Still lower. Let's go 70. Ooh, lower 80. Higher. Go 75. 76. Correct. You guessed the number 76, and the program's over. Now you can do a whole lot with this. This is pretty basic. We can give the user guess attempts. So let's say you have 5 attempts. That took me more than 5 tries. We could end it after 5 tries, no matter what, if they guessed it or not. So I'm gonna leave that up to you. Try and implement this with guess attempts. So the user has 5 guesses. If the user guesses it in less than 5 attempts, great. If not, then we want to end the program and say that they didn't get it right. Even bonus challenge, if you can implement points, so the less amount of attempts they take, the more points they get. That would be awesome. But that's it for this video. You successfully implemented a guessing game using not only a while loop, but to use conditional statements as well. Good job. I hope to see you in the next video. Take it easy.